Good morning, everyone. You're very welcome to join us in a webinar workshop presented by three Horizon 2020 EU projects, Efficiency, Impact and Gain. We've come together in this first of three webinars that will last about 4 hours this morning, and we hope you can stay for the whole period. And this one is kicking off about policy and markets. And I think we have a really interesting session for you coming up. We start off with a general session where we introduce the projects and what we think the main policy and market orientated messages are, led by three members of our three projects. And then we move in to take the aquaculture value chain step by step, and we have a session first of all looking at pre-production, where we're focusing in on sustainable feeds. We then move into a production stage. This session will be led by Impact, and we'll focus on the production issues around IMTA. We then move to the next session, which is run by Efficiency and looks very much at circular economy and particularly the use of effluents from aquaculture systems, before moving into the fifth, which looks at the markets and consumption orientation that's really led by all of us together, before having some concluding studies. Conclusions. So how are you interacting in this workshop? We'd like you to do this in several ways. At any point, you can pose questions in the Q&A. These can be quite general or quite specific. It's up to you. There'll also be opportunities for you to put your perspective forward by answering some questions in a polling exercise that we'll be running throughout the workshop. And to do that, we're using something called Mentimeter. And the procedure for that will be that a website will pop up on the screen that we'd like you to enter into your phone or your laptop or whatever you're using, with a specific code that allows you to vote on that poll. And these, when they differ, will be put up on the screen, and we'd really value your input into that. We're going to kick off with a few broad questions, and that's gone up already. Some questions to get you started. You should be able to see that now on the screen. And as I said, type in that website, please, into your device, and then cut and paste or put that code in, and you should be able to vote on those questions. And this is quite important because at this stage of the projects, we're really interested in what you really think about the different issues that are going to come out of this workshop, we hope. Okay, perhaps I'll give you a couple of minutes just to play around and do that, find that address and put that code in before I introduce the next people who are going to start off this workshop. Okay, I hope you're managing to do that. Got some interesting questions. Thank you very much. We really value your inputs into both this one and the results of this one. We're going to give you back at the end of the workshop, which we hope you can all stay for. The other pollings will be revealed as you poll in real time. We hope that informs you really about what your views are compared to everyone else's. Okay. So, thank you. I'd like to introduce now the first session, and perhaps our panelists can reveal themselves. if you don't have your name on, please put your name on so everyone knows who you are. Thank you. So we have, first up, Roberto Pastres, who's the coordinator of the GAIN project. Thank you, Roberto. Secondly, we have Frank Kane from the Impact Project. Welcome, Frank. And thirdly, we have Marie Shrestha, who represents iFficiency. You're all very welcome. And I'd really like the first of you to lead off now with a few slides. I think everyone's had the opportunity to poll. We'll leave that polling opportunity up for the next few minutes. So if you haven't done it yet, please have a stab at those questions. We're very interested in your responses. Thank you. So please, could we ask Marie to give her project overview, please? Thank you.
Dave, Marie, I'm not sure if she's with us because she experienced some problems to connect. Maria is with us. Okay, she's with us now. Good. Yes.
Thank you, Marie.
Sorry.
That's okay.
For the late
Please go ahead.
You know, technology, sometimes it doesn't work the way everyone would like.
That's
so
fine.
Good morning. Thanks for the introduction, Dave. Good morning, everyone. I will tell you in a few words about the key policy outcomes from the iFficiency project. Before that, maybe for just to tell, iFficiency is Horizon 2020 research and innovation action that started in November 2018 and is going on for 16 more months till October next year. And what we are, to give you just a second, and to give you some idea about what we are doing in iFficiency, basically we are aiming to provide new intelligent feeding technologies using advanced digital information technology to monitor all aspects of the fish and the environment. And to reach as well the societal impacts that are important, we would like also to see how this technology are interacting with the society at different levels, from an economical aspect, from a political aspect, and from a social aspect. And in that frame, the policy recommendations or the policy contribution is a special focus of the project. That is why I am not the coordinator of iFficiency. You will hear our coordinator later on, but I have been named as a policy champion. And my role in the project is to look over all the work packages and the work that is performed to ascertain that the results will be used for a future policy recommendation. So what are the key policy outcomes so far? Because the project is still running some time. So we've been sharing views on the policy in development. This is one tool that we've been working on, doing that at the level or using in the framework of the EU public consultations. We've been doing that for the updated guidelines on EU fish farm aquaculture that was open last year, contributing or stating how the results of iFficiency and other projects could contribute to the priority areas for the development of the sustainable aquaculture. And we prepared a joint position paper on circularity in aquaculture, together with other European funded projects in Horizon 2020, the Aqua Impact Project, the Astral, and the Impact Project. One of the outcomes from this joint work is the events that will take place next week in the frame of Horizon for Aquaculture about progress towards circular aquaculture, and as well as an additional workshops that iFficiency will organize end of the year as building on this first event about how circularity should be addressed and measured within EU aquaculture. Another public consultation we used as a tool to share the outcomes of the views of efficiency on the possibility of using the outcomes of the project was a review of marketing standard on fish and seafood products, and specifically talking or sharing how criteria to measure environmental, social, and economic sustainability in aquaculture could be developed and how maybe the results of the efficiency project could contribute to that. The third EU consultation that is currently still open is about blue economy and toward a strong and sustainable EU algae sector. And it's also an exercise that we are following up now, also in contact or in link with other research projects working in the same field, and seeing how we can present a joint answer explaining or showing the European Commission how we could contribute with the results from the different research projects to this aspect. The second key policy outcome, I would say, from efficiency is the contribution to more sustainable and competitive EU aquaculture in the field of specifically regarding the new strategic guidelines. So in different aspects, so efficiency or the results of efficiency are contributing to building resilience and competitiveness, specifically for the aspect to space and water, considering that we work with land-based RAS systems. Also at the level of animal health, considering one of our key exploitable results, Fish Talk to Me, which is basically an integration system online, which is integrating different monitoring systems. So it's linking the fish tagging that is giving you information about the physiological property or the physiology of the fish, about it's linking camera technology that is giving you maybe indication or information about the fish behavior, echo sounder, and digital twin of the fish digestion efficiency. And all this information are linked in this online monitoring system. So efficiency is also contributing to participating in the green transition. In terms of animal welfare, we just heard it for using the representative in the results of the Fish Talk to Me, but also on a environmental performance level with different life cycle assessment developed along the project with circular approach that we are following of reusing wastewater and sludge. We will hear more today also in another session, and using microalgae in the field. Efficiency is also contributing in ensuring social acceptance and consumer information at the level of data and monitoring, with another key exploitable results that we have in the project, which is the iBoss, which is basically a biology online steering system that is aiming at maximizing the feed utilization and minimizing the environmental impact. And communication on EU aquaculture with aim together with sister project or other aquaculture funded Horizon 2020 project and beyond, to see how the results we all reached could help to communicate better on EU aquaculture, and so this aspect towards the consumer. And finally, increasing the knowledge and innovation. So efficiency will, by the end of this year, have also some training tutorials and academic curricula that will have been developed and shared and contribute to that aspect. Then the third key policy outcome from the efficiency project is the development of a web-based decision support tool, the so-called waste to value. The idea of circularity is to be able to offer the optimal valorization for the waste and the sludge of different aquaculture production system, and maybe for different, or also for different fish species and feed products. So the idea of efficiency is, or the possibility of efficiency, is to demonstrate that at the level of the aquaculture system. So this is what you see with the blue arrows here. So we are able to say, we know how the feed is produced, we know what enters in the aquaculture system, the wastes that are coming out, wastewater, the sludge, and the waste valorization processes, going back maybe in a circular idea or following a circular system in the bioproduction, which could lead of algae, for example, which could then be again included in the feed production. What is missing, or what efficiency is not able to do, but that could be an opening up of this waste to value idea, is to develop that, and it's already discussed with sister projects, is seeing how the waste valorization process could maybe enter in the aquaponic system, or could enter in a biogas or platform chemical valorization system, or even go to be used and enter again in the aquaculture system. So the idea is really to be able, with the waste to value, to develop some guidance and to show opportunities, to have a tool for the whole different industries. And so just to conclude, waste to value, who is it for? So I already said it a little bit. So it's not only addressing the companies such as the fish producers or the algae feed or feed ingredient producers companies, but also really the idea is to be able to, in this idea of circularity, circular economy, to be able to open it to the bioprocessing companies as well, to aquaponics, including also further research projects on the same topic, on linked topic, to involve as well the policymakers who are working on developing the circular economy policy and regulatory framework, and to be able to link any stakeholder who has a wish to get involved in aquaculture waste reuse to have more circularity. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Marie. With that, can I pass please to Frank Kane, who's the project coordinator for the Impact project, please? Frank.
Good morning. Thanks everybody for joining the webinar on challenges and opportunities for aquaculture. I'm Frank Kane, coordinator of the Impact project. It's a sharing now, there we go. I'm Frank Kane, coordinator of the Impact project. I will focus on one of the big opportunities for future aquaculture, IMTA, and on the work the project has carried out around this. The Impact project is working to develop and demonstrate an intelligent technological platform for the sustainable management of IMTA. The platform is to cover multiple production environments with the ambition to help validate the concept of IMTA as a viable aquaculture approach. The project is working in 3 key areas: an autonomous data acquisition and communication system, the Impact platform, an advanced IMTA model, and an intelligent management system. These combine to form a management structure for a complete holistic system view. And I'll elaborate more on these in a moment, and you'll hear more from Kathy later. The Horizon 2020 funded project is a collaboration of 21 multidisciplinary international partners from across the EU and including Turkey and China. The partners will be presenting some of their work over this 3 webinars. We probably all know about IMTA, but just to provide some context, it is a concept which can be applied in various aquaculture situations. It involves the farming of species from different levels in the food chain or different trophic levels. For the integrated element, the species farmed are linked to each other in some way, serving complementary functions within the ecosystem. The idea is that the organic and inorganic waste from the fed species, the fish, serves as a nutritional input for other species, such as the filter feeders and seaweeds. IMTA offers the potential to increase farmed seafood while lowering the environmental footprint. It promotes product diversity and economic resilience in the farm while contributing to employment and local economy. It optimizes the use of space while remediating impacts. And all these show that IMTA can provide a product that meets customer demands while regarding its environmental credentials. It can also help to support policy aims such as the eco-intensification of aquaculture, the European Green Deal, and the Farm to Fork strategy. In Impact, much of the work focused on 6 pilot sites. These were used to test and validate the Impact platform, the model, and the IMTA products and practices. These were in SAMS in Scotland, North Sea Farms in the Netherlands, Keywater Fisheries in Ireland, the Marine Institute research site, and our industrial partner were Chamley in Turkey, and the IMTA experts at the Yellow Sea Fisheries Research in China with their site in Sangao Bay. The pilot sites explored the potential for IMTA and lower trophic species, looking at production systems and site and system design, along with the species selection and how to increase species diversity and reduce environmental footprint. They explored systems and monitoring technologies to assess stock welfare and environmental monitoring and performance. The pilots investigated and documented the challenges to implementing IMTA, such as production systems, licensing, regulation, the operational environment, as well as the opportunities and requirements regarding standards and certifications of seafood and fish products. Again, you'll hear more elaboration on these over the coming webinars. Within Impact, a number of novel innovative technologies were developed: novel sensors, communication systems, energy management systems, data aggregator tools. An intelligent management system was developed to utilize data collected and make sense of it, to analyze it using algorithms and predictive analysis, and provide contextual suggestions, feedbacks, stock management information, and environmental information to the operator. The Precision Aquaculture session on the 29th will deal with these in more detail. These technologies build and add to the tools available for monitoring systems for the aquaculture sector, to assess the situation on the local farm level and in the greater area level, and to inform on environmental indicators to help implement legislative requirements. The tools provide information to inform decision-making and long-term planning, improving production, stock welfare, and environmental performance. And having electronic access to robust real-time data is a key step towards promoting the traceability and transparency of aquaculture products and communicating information more publicly in the future. In Impact, an IMTA model was developed to run and test a set of scenarios estimating the benefit of IMTA in the farm setup in terms of seafood production and environmental impact. They were used to distill a generically applicable model blueprint that can be used by others as a template. The model demonstrated the different responses of and interactions between IMTA farm components and their footprints on the environment and in different nutrient situations. The models can be used by farmers to get an indication of yield with different configurations, to find optimal stocking densities and spatial configurations. Models can be used to provide evidence of limited environmental impact to regulators, and to provide evidence and quantification of additional ecosystem services. Regulators can use the model to gain insight into responsible levels of fed and extractive aquaculture in an ecosystem and assess the different scenarios, and the model has potential to assist with licensing assessments. These models are key research tools to get insight into how ecosystems react to aquaculture and to assess the response of individual species to an increase in competition or food availability. These models can be tools to support policy by providing information regarding the upscaling and commercialization of innovative practices in aquaculture, such as IMTA. Looking at sustainability, Impact carried out a number of different assessments. Ecosystem services assessment showed the added value of IMTA systems in terms of providing ecosystem services in comparison with monoculture conditions. An LCA study revealed that IMTA systems are environmentally attractive as impacts caused by production of biomass can be reduced. A socioeconomic assessment and cost-effective analysis revealed the positive prospects of IMTA systems to collaborative actions. IMTA production systems have been demonstrated to contribute to circularity in terms of nutrient recycling. All these benefits are reliant on a well-planned IMTA systems and the right setup for the right location. These will be elaborated in detail at the webinar next week on progress towards circular economy on June the 22nd. The key aim of Impact is to promote the transfer of knowledge derived to the aquaculture stakeholders. And while COVID has made this significantly more challenging, the online tools have been utilized to maximize dissemination. Along with papers, articles, communications, the project has developed a MOOC, or an online course, on IMTA and precision aquaculture. It is based on the Open University's Open Learn Create platform, which is very user-friendly. There you will find information on IMTA, the benefits and challenges, husbandry practices, sustainability, circularity, and the assessment information, as well as monitoring and management in tools. A number of the key research and innovation from the project are presented here. The Impact website has details as well as results and blogs on many of the relevant topics. So there is a very high level overview of some of the outputs and results from Impact, touching on the areas relating to policy and to be covered over this series of webinars. The Impact outputs can help to build and progress the sector and basically help in the aid in the transition towards eco-intensification and green transitioning. Thank you. I think Roberto, you're up next, Steve.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. I am Roberto Pastes, and I am the coordinator of the GAME project, Green Aquaculture Intensification in Europe. The project started in May 2018 and is going to be over at the end of October this year. As you can see from the first slide, we have 20 partners, including three international partners from US, China, and Canada. The GAME project took another, let's say, view of the same call, which was addressed by ImpactQT. In GAME, we look at increasing at the ecological intensification of aquaculture from different perspectives, trying to branch out with different sectors in order to reduce the consumption of primary resources through circularity, to optimize growth using precision aquaculture, to look at also some indicators which can take into account fish welfare in order to go beyond the concept of sustainable intensification. During the project, we carried out different activities concerning these three areas, but today I will focus on specific activities that were in which we address some policy issues. Other activities will be presented in the forthcoming two webinars. So this is the outline of this short summary of the results that we have got thus far. We look at some, in a different view, at some data in order to check whether they are sufficient for shaping policies. We identify some gaps and barriers which might prevent from further valorizing secondary products and waste streams in aquaculture and circular processes. We also had a look at how aquaculture ecosystem services can be valued, and then this activity can pave the way for setting up policies in which incentives are given to farmers. We also look at the social acceptability of aquaculture products which are coming out of circular systems. And we also we are still developing tools for assessing sustainable or ecological intensified processes using composite indicators. So the first activity that we did was to look at the data that we have in order to quantify the what we call the net seafood balance. You will get more details about that in session 5, and there is also a deliverable that you can download from our website, which explains in details what we found by comparing what we call the total seafood supply and the verified seafood demand, which are based on two different data sets, was that there is still a demand for salmon and trout in the European Union. This study concerned 10 European countries, which accounts for more or less 90% of European Union consumption. And therefore there is still demand for salmon and trout. We have very high dependence from countries not belonging to the European Economic Area for sea bass and sea bream, which creates room for increased the production. And we also look at mussel and clam and shellfish, and we saw that there is a large mass balance discrepancy if we compare the supply with the demand. But the difference indicates that there is an oversupply, and therefore it could be possible to foster this activity by communication and increasing the mussel and clam consumption. That was one of the main part of our activities concerning policy. We had a look at the gaps that could inhibit investment in circular processes. And we found that the recent changes in EU regulation can foster the use of fish sludge, which are rich in organic, for example, in fertilizer, that IMTA could still a little bit challenging because strictly speaking, the EU regulation still prohibits the use of waste from animals to feed other animals. Aquaponics still has no clear legal status, is in between, say, agriculture and fishery and aquaculture, which could make licensing more challenging compared with the other aquaculture integrated typologies. There are also some gaps concerning seaweeds. For example, the pharmacologically active substances are regulated in fed farm animals, but there are legal gaps regarding species such as bivalves and echinoderms. And the same story for contaminants in seaweeds, which were recently regulated, but in some cases only risk assessment is available. So these gaps should be covered to give more confidence to investors in our point of view. We had a look at some opportunities which are can be opened up by some changes in policies. For example, bioextraction of nitrogen and phosphorus using bivalve shellfish, which can be considered already a key regulatory ecosystem service. We had a look at the overall removal capacity in terms of nitrogen based on two different tools, analytical tools and the model. And as you can see here, the nutrient credit, if they were introduced as they are in the US as a tool for managing nutrient at a catchment basin, could provide an extra value to farmers, which is quite relevant. The social acceptability activities, let's say that they ended with more questions than answers, in the sense that there are different levels of perception from individual to national, which should be considered concerning the acceptability of new farming methodology based on circular economy. The regionality emerged as a very important concept, and of course, even more so now after 1.5 years of pandemic, in which the logistic of delivery and of products changed a lot. We also found that it should be clarified who are the main actors in the innovation, and which is the narrative of the impact of aquaculture, which could be very important. And this is an area in which there is still work to be done, according to us. As regards tools, we developed activities concerning the analysis of the value chain, which was applied to different species, such as salmon, carp, rainbow trout. And this is just an example of some take-home messages that we got from this quantitative analysis concerning carp. Different stakeholders were interviewed, and they found that the new processes that we are investigating could be relevant, but they also are concerned about other issues, for example, adaptation and mitigation of climate changes. Tools for policies, for policymakers, and also for farmers. We in keeping with our main vision, we are developing a composite indicators which should enable one to assess the sustainability of circular processes, in particular going beyond LCA. This index will include the three main pillars of sustainability: the economic, the environmental, and the social one, but also some indicator concerning fish welfare, and of course what was the tool that was presented previously by Efficiencies could be a very nice one to provide data for this kind of index. So I just would like to finish thanking everybody in the consortium, but also our advisors who guided through this very long journey, which is close to the end. One of them is with us as a panelist of this session. It is Anton Immink. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto. And yes, perhaps we can now move on. Thank you to all of the project coordinators. We're now going to lead on to a very short panel in which the advisors of the three projects or people drawn from the advisory groups are going to give their reflections on what you've just heard. And we're going to kick off with Anton Immink of Think Aqua, who's on the advisory group for GAIN. And then Peter Lengel will follow, who is at the head of aquaculture development in Ministry of Agriculture in Hungary. And he'll make some remarks on the efficiency project. And then finally, Adam Hughes, who's at SAMS, will make some comments on the impact project. So thanks. Perhaps I could hand over to Anton first, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks for the opportunity to join this meeting. I wanted really to kind of take a step back, I think, from some of the more technical detail that's maybe been presented in the last three presentations and think a little bit more about how these projects fit within kind of priorities for Europe and some of the broader strategic policy objectives. In preparing for this panel discussion, I took a look again at the current Commission priorities for 2019 to 2024. And I see that all three of these projects really fit very centrally into three of the six Commission priorities. So a European Green Deal, where Europe aims to be the first climate neutral continent. And I think these projects are demonstrating and developing tools around circular economy, technologies and processes to support a greater sustainable use of resources across the value chain. And that I think fits very centrally. The projects are also developing work streams around digitalizing aquaculture for better productivity, environmental sustainability and connectivity. And I think especially in some of the more remote, perhaps coastal areas of Europe. So I feel that fits very centrally with the Commission's priority around Europe fit for a digital age. And these projects are also, I think, great examples of collaboration between industry and academia, both within the EU and more broadly, taking some of the lessons from Asia, where we've seen aquaculture intensify very rapidly. And thinking about the sustainability that is required not only in aquaculture, but sustainability for communities as well. So I feel that fits very much with another one of the Commission's priorities around an economy that works for people, so an attractive investment environment, the growth of quality jobs, and especially thinking about the potential for young people and small businesses to develop. So I think looking at other kind of strategies within the European Union from the Commission, I think the key one at the moment is around the Green Deal. I think these projects directly support both the blue economy agenda and the farm to fork strategy within the Green Deal. Trying to pull out a few lessons from these projects that I think are important in terms of the green recovery. I think I think Roberto touched on the farming of bivalves or seaweeds in European waters, and we need to find a way to encourage future growth of these sectors, particularly if we're thinking about the environmental services that they're delivering. And I think there's room for exploring how perhaps a payment similar to the ecosystem services, good stewardship payments that land-based farmers receive. We need to explore if that's a possibility, particularly for these low-impact food products, aquatic food products around mollusks and shellfish and seaweeds. And then on the data collection side, I think we could consider incentivizing data collection, not just regulating it, but thinking about who uses that data. What's the value if we're looking, for example, at climate change in coastal waters? Who should pay for that data? Could we pay farmers for it? Again, increasing the incentives for collecting and using that data. The circular economy is another area, and there are clear legal hurdles in terms of what is allowed, what is viewed. We've got a question in the Q&A already, I see, around aquaponics as well. And then standardizing assessments. I think the EASI is an interesting one. You know, I've worked with industry as well, and I hear retailers struggling, you know, in land-based farming, in cattle, you know, in selling beef or any product, to have a standardized life cycle assessment process. So if we're getting ahead of the game here with some of the outputs of these projects, I think that will really help both regulators and industry to understand more in a more unified way what's happening around the circular economy. So I think there's an opportunity for the outputs of these projects to be taken forward. I think the Blue Invest Fund and other instruments will be exciting opportunities to really utilize some of these outputs. There's a few thoughts from me, Dave. Thank you.
Thanks, Anton. Could we move to Peter, please, for your reflections? Is Peter there?
Yes, I'm here. I just cannot switch on my video, but then I can talk this way.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so thank you for the floor, and thanks for the opportunity to be here. 3 minutes are very short, so I go straight to the point. I was asked to present a ministry perspective on how the 3 presented projects can contribute to the implementation of the new strategic guidelines on sustainable aquaculture. And as Anton has already shown the clear linkages of the projects with the EU policies, I don't need to go into those details, luckily. But on the other hand, on the policymaker side, there's an obvious need that these projects can satisfy. We are currently in the middle of a strategic planning process, trying to translate the recommendations and objectives of the guidelines into meaningful policy actions and operational program interventions. And of course, with the European Green Deal and its associated strategies setting the scene, we must in many ways change our usual thinking and search for new ways and solutions. So this means that both now at the level of planning, but also later in the implementation phase, we will need all readily available and digestible data, information, ideas, case studies that can support the effectiveness of the planned interventions towards the achievement of the strategic objectives. As far as I saw from the presentations, all 3 projects can contribute important data and arguments for both coordinated spatial planning and designation of aquaculture areas, addressing concerns on aquaculture's environmental impacts, and also to a great extent to improving the regulatory and administrative framework. The results can also provide important input to the planned EU-wide and national communication campaigns for improving the perception of aquaculture. And in addition, from a policymaker side, I would surely be interested in some kind of demonstration, knowledge transfer activities, training tutorials on the project's models and information products, such as we saw, waste systems and fish welfare, precision aquaculture, or IMTA, targeted to our producers in order to contribute to sustainable intensification and the innovative development of the sector. And as a last thought, or although it might seem trivial, but for a real policy impact, I would like to underline the importance of well-formulated, clear messages and easily accessible information. So most ministry aquaculture units I know of are seriously understaffed and overloaded. So they simply don't have much time to search for scientific information apart from already known sources and databases. Of course, in a perfect world, all policy decisions should be based on research, but in reality, if you don't appear in the top results of a Google search, you should at least have some really clear and practice-oriented policy recommendations made available directly to policymakers in order for your results to be taken into account. And I guess my time is up, so thank you, and I will be glad to answer your questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And I'll turn now to Adam Hughes of SANS. Thank you, Adam.
Good morning. A little bit like Peter, I can't switch on my video, so everyone's saved that at least. So just welcome, I'll say thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning and to hear more about the 3 very exciting projects. I think focusing on probably the impact project, which I'm most familiar with, finfish aquaculture has traditionally been a very linear economy where there is inputs at one end and waste and the end product coming out obviously at the end. And I think the concept of the IMTA to circularize that is almost a moral imperative on the industry in an open resource environment such as a marine ecosystem. And I think that leads me on to my second point, is that we need to understand that aquaculture sits in a really complex system of food supply, and it sits in an environment which is a really complex social ecological system. So it's already a very complex situation, and the importance of data to manage these complex systems is crucial, and the importance of data in real time to allow sort of adaptive management, real-time management of those systems is also crucial. But I think it's absolutely again crucial. I've used that word too many times, but we need to understand. I'm going to butcher a quote from Cliff Stoll here. Data isn't information, information isn't knowledge, and knowledge isn't wisdom. So we really need a mechanism to take that data and turn it into information and knowledge, and who knows, maybe even wisdom that allows us to manage these very complex systems effectively. And when we think about how we manage them, we're looking not at just, when we think about sustainability, we often think about environmental data, environmental sustainability, but we need to make sure that feeds into social sustainability and to the economic sustainability. And one example, and I'll just wrap up here, one example that struck me from this morning's presentations is that we have IMTA systems which are going to produce more bivalves and seaweed, but we already understand from the GAIN project that there is an oversupply of bivalves to the European market. So how do we use the data that we're getting? How do we use that knowledge to look at that bigger systems picture and understand that there may be trade-offs between increasing the supply of bivalves through IMTA and the market value of those bivalves, or the impact on society? Or how do we valorize those environmental and those social impacts? How can we use the data to create the knowledge, to create the wisdom that will allow us to solve these large problems that we have at a European level? And I think by bringing the projects together like this and bringing more of the European projects together, we can perhaps start building that bigger picture that allows us to deal with these systems level problems. And I think I'll probably stop there. So
thank you
very much, Dave.